not my personal, but the business Facebook page that I've got is I know, and I'm not a prolific poster by any stretch of the imagination. Like in recent times, it's only been like once every 3 or 4 weeks, sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But the sort of posts that I was putting on there, which ironically got a bit of traction, were just things that I would see on like news articles.
Mm.
Like there was a news article on ABC about an organisation down in, I think it's in Victoria, has opened up a wood library. So basically what they're doing is they're collecting different species of wood from all around the country,
Mm. Mm.
and they have a little block of it up on a equivalent of a bookshelf.
Okay.
And they sort of say where it's from and the characteristics of it, and they've been doing it for some time, and they've got species there now which they think may well be extinct, and they're discovering new ones all the time.
Okay.
So like that's an example. There was another one where it was on BBC. There was a young guy who's only in his early 20s in London, makes all of his own clothes. But he makes them in the style of the 1700s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so all of the clothes that he makes and owns and wears is like 1700s, London. So
Okay. Okay.
and again, ironically, probably more, not so much by design, but he's now making unique clothes for people all over the world. So.
Mm. Mm.
So it's those sort of things, that I sort of been putting up there. And occasionally I'll do a blog post, and I'll put something up there if there's something been annoying me or whatever,
Yeah. Okay.
so, and what I do need to start to do again is, like, which is what I've sort of been doing at the moment, is, like when I restore a piece of furniture that I should, that I document it, and I
Yeah.
video parts of it. I'll have a video about it, about the
Mm.
process and why and the how sort of thing behind it. So,
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah.
mm.
Yeah.
And that seems to, again, people are interested in that sort of thing. So
Mm. Mm.
lots of voice there, I think. So whether they actually go and do anything as a result of it, I don't know, or whether it's just another form of entertainment.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know,
Yeah.
but I think that a lot of those core messages that I try and weave into it, like adaptive reuse and those sort of things. I think they do get people thinking,
Yeah.
hopefully, about their own lives and stuff.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Mm. There's another forum that I participate in. I've spoken to you about it on and off a little bit. It's called Gratefulness, gratefulness.org, and it's
Yeah. Every morning you say you, or every day you.
yeah, every first thing I do in the morning, just go
Yeah.
onto it and answer the
Yeah.
question. Yeah, yeah, and I find that a good practice as well. So
Mm. Mm. Mm.
thought provoking and that, and I think what I've been finding myself doing, just at the personal level, I seem to be, well, not only sort of looking for things to be grateful about, but when you sort of go down that path, it has you questioning a lot of things that you just take for granted. I think that's one thing about being grateful, is you don't take anything for granted.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's had me thinking about a lot more about things. I've been watching on and off a bit of a series on Netflix. It's called Rotten. Sound,
Right.
sounds
It
dreadful,
sounds rotten. Yeah.
but basically what they're doing is every episode is just about a different industry. Like it might be about the chicken industry or the garlic industry or the chocolate industry or the water industry
Okay.
and it just demonstrates that over and over again the reoccurring pattern is when large corporations get involved, it's driven by self-interest and profit and complete control
Yeah.
to the detriment of communities and producers and, you know, the intermediaries, and, you know, and the pattern just keeps repeating itself time and time again across all of these different industries, you know. And I sort of sit back there, you know, in recent times and sort of think, what on earth are we doing to ourselves? You know, and I still get that fundamental question, which I can't answer, is like, you know, the why. What, like, why, like, when's enough's enough? You know, like, you know, so if our little enterprises take off, I hope we have the foresight and the awareness to be continually asking ourselves those questions.
Right.
Because it just seems to be a reoccurring pattern. I don't know whether it's a genetic flaw within humanity or what it is, but it seems to me that, well, you know, the traditional word, I guess, is success, but I don't think it's success at all. But, you know, when someone gets a critical mass within an industry and like within the business, and it grows exponentially, and they're able to influence and have a lot of control over parties, you know, whether it be producers or distributors or retailers or even the consumers themselves. For some reason, the default mechanism seems to be self-interest. It's never enough, and I want to control the world. And I don't know why that is. I really don't know why that is. As I said, it seems to be like almost like a switch flicks somewhere, and because it's ironic, because you and I have had so many conversations about enoughness or sufficiency and shared prosperity. I mean, it's the antithesis of everything that's happening at the moment, you know, right across the planet. You think, you know, but why is it happening? You know, why is that so?
Yeah, I don't think it wasn't always like that. Okay. In the beginning, it was the first age, the golden age. It was the golden age, and it was filled with kindness and love and gratitude, and but then, you know, as the ages came and went, and the ages, you know, being hundreds of thousands of years each, you know, we land up in the last age. And the last age is like the last age, okay? It's time to get it right, or in or go to hell. Okay. And I think a lot of people are experiencing that hell here in their incarnation. Okay. And that's the reason. That's the reason that it's got to this point of you know, you really got to suffer and see that there must be an alternative. And like you keep on asking yourself the question, why? Okay. Now, the more people that ask that question, the more they're going to find the answers. Okay. And the answer is the choosing, as Alata says, the personality choosing. Okay. You know, between more hell or heaven, or soul. Okay. And yeah. My daughter had an interesting post on LinkedIn with her partner, a business partner, that is, and she was saying, you attract what you need in your life, but you attract what you want in business. Okay. Okay. And both of them, now this is my take on and then you know, is what you pay attention to is what you get. Now, I was watching a 2 or 3 hour YouTube video. Just that's last week. And anyway, and this one woman said, you know, it costs, okay, because you pay attention.
It's true.
And yeah, it was. I haven't finished watching it. I sort of watch it in stages, so continue probably tonight. But that's you know, we've got to, by asking the questions and focusing on the answer, on what the potential answer is going to be, or what you get an intuition about, is what then you attract, either in your business, but in your personal life, you're going to get what you got to get in order to get yourself asking that question why, and finding the answer, and choosing the spiritual side of life on earth.
I think that's really important what you've just said there, because you know, good to think about that. But yeah, no, I think it's very profound, because it's true, isn't it? You know, when you think about it, it is true. In the business sense, you know, it's all about what I want. The whole business planning process is around identifying wants and needs, and you know, putting together plans and strategies, you know, to advance that. Whereas I'm not so sure many people take a similar approach to their own lives, do they?
Yeah.
Those on the spiritual path do, because I guess they have a view about where it's taking them, you know, and that open inquiry. But it's sort of almost, the analogy is it's almost sort of like mining for gold, but you don't mine. When you're on the spiritual path, it's always given to you, but you don't actually mine it. Because as soon as you start trying to mine it, then you get nothing.
That's true. You know, that guru that you listen to, he just keeps on crossing my path. Whenever I turn on one of my apps, there he is. You know,
really?
It's like weird. Okay, I mean, disproportionately, I see more of him than I do of, you know, let's say world affairs that I'm keeping track of.
Is that right? Wow.
It's really wow. Okay. And what's his name again? Guru somebody, another, Saraguru.
Yeah, Sadhguru. Yeah, Sadhguru.
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 Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Sadhguru.
Which means which actually translates to in English apparently as uneducated guru.
Yeah. Uneducated guru. Yeah, but it's just so weird because, for example, I'll give you. I just couldn't believe my eyes. Okay, for some reason or other, a few days ago, I decided to write an article on masturbation. Okay, and I wrote it. Okay, and I stuck it on my website. And the very next day, this guru comes on. What's his subject? Masturbation. I'm not lying.
Oh, there you go.
And he's got a room full of students. Okay, and he's talking. I think it was a question that one of the students asked him or something, but that was his subject and that was his answer. I mean, so interesting how things are working now in our lives, you know, the spontaneity that just coming and going, and things are happening far quicker. Whether it's karma working much quicker, I don't know. But certainly things are happening. The aha moments are happening far more frequently, and they're related to yesterday. Relevant stuff. So with seeing and experiencing that, what you said to me the other week was so true. That's it's made me now go and change everything, in the process of changing everything, in order to focus my attention where other people are going to get help from understanding the nerves and the influence the nerves have on our energy body, our frequency body. And how we can turn around. So, maybe somebody will give me an ebook to write on nerves.
Well, I'm sure they will. I mean, and if this guy, and it sounds like he will, goes ahead and commissions you to write this book for him, which I'm sure you'll do very well. It sounds like, I mean, I'm not directly familiar with him. But he sounds like he's an influencer in that field. So
very much so, and a very high up influencer in the field, in Australia particularly. So, but he's obviously, if he's dealing with the orthodox health he basically, if I look on LinkedIn, he's really saying that the Australian national health, whatever you call it, is totally out of date, and needs to be revamped. And he's written all these articles and posts about it, showing where all the faults are and what should be done and so on. So.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
It's a complex field. What's his name?
I will send it to you. All right. I know it's Richard, but I can't remember his surname, because we don't use surnames on Fiverr. But Hodgkins, Hodgkins.
Is it okay? Yeah.
Richard Hodgkins, I think it is. Yeah. If I'm wrong, I'll Google, but I think that's right. It just suddenly came to me. Hodgkins. I think I picked it up on LinkedIn when I went and did a search for him. Yeah. Yeah.
And are you fairly confident that he'll come back to you? And
yeah, I am. I am pretty confident. And yet, I ask myself why, because he's a competent writer. Okay, his articles are good. I've only read 2, and his posts are good. And why he doesn't do it himself, I'm not sure. Okay, but I don't know. I'll keep you posted on that one.
Yeah, no, I keep my fingers crossed for you, because it sounds like it'd be perfect for you.
Yeah, it is, and I get excited thinking about doing it, even though it's his writing and his content. It's the glue that's going to be important.
That's right. Yeah. Isn't it sort of funny how even, I know it's an observation more than anything, but it seems to be people who write books these days, the book is more of an amalgamation of like blog posts and articles and stuff like that they've written before, rather than sitting down and actually planning out a book from the get-go. It's sort of something that just sort of evolves, isn't it? So.
Yeah, I find it interesting for myself, because I don't even profess or make believe. I don't come up with any new knowledge. Okay. I search for the knowledge that is out there about a particular subject. Whether it's commercial cleaning of 20-story buildings, or whether it's whatever. I look for it. I get the facts, so the facts are correct. I get the references, and I just jot all that down. Then I start writing about the facts, but the writing is mine. Okay. But I'm using somebody else's facts.
Yeah.
I'm. That's just the way I do things. That's my. If I was a fiction writer, that's different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm writing non-fiction stuff.
Although in many respects, though, even fiction writers quite often ground, their fiction in some version. Like, the number of scientists who write fiction works, which is more of an exploration, without having to have the scientific.
That's right.
Disciplines
That's quite
around.
true. Yeah. We mentioned that last week. It's quite true. It's like an excuse to try and put things out on a paper. Yeah.
Well, that's good. I'm pleased that you've made some good progress actually in the last week. It sounds really good.
Yeah, I want to. I'm pleased, and also I'm making sure now that I'm not going to go off, because I'm one of my weaknesses in day-to-day life is going off at a tangent. Okay, I get a sort of an aha moment, and then I follow it. And then I can't the hell remember what I was doing before that. Go back.
And so is Fiverr like the primary source of these sorts of projects for you, or will there be other avenues for them to come along?
The other one is Upwork. Okay.
Okay, I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, Fiverr and Upwork. Fiverr is the biggest, I think, probably online. Upwork is it's like a combination of what Fiverr does and what freelance.com does, or guru.com does. I've given up all the others like Guru and Freelancer, but Upwork has really, from word day one, treated me in a way that I respect them. Okay, whereas Guru and Freelancer, I didn't like their attitude and their approach to work. And Fiverr was the very first one. So and it's brought me work in. But a lot of the work has also come because I send it. I do things on LinkedIn. Okay, let's say I write an article, and then I start progressively at least once a week, sending maybe 10 people a link to that article, and that article has a link to my free ebook about ebooks. Okay, so a lot of them. But then when they're interested in my services, I send them to Fiverr. Okay, because Fiverr's got the control and the mechanisms that I don't have.
Yeah.
Okay. And also there's a trust between the buyer and Fiverr. Okay.
Yeah, it's a safe environment, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a safe environment that if they can say, this is rubbish, this guy, I want my money back, and both sides will have this, and then Fiverr will give the money back. Okay. If not that it's happened to me, but that's what they lay out, and Upwork does the same. Okay. It's a safe environment. So yeah, Fiverr. I mean, with Upwork, you tend to chase work. I mean, people will find you on Upwork, but they can also project, and then you can apply to that project. And I don't do a lot of that because
I think Fiverr lets you do that too, don't you? Like you can sort of put a project up there and ask people to bid on it or something, can't you? I think.
Well, I haven't done it with Fiverr, not even once. I haven't looked for it. Everyone that's come to me they have found to me, and they've sent me a message and say, this is what I want done, like this guy did. Okay, we're talking about now. I've never quoted it, and so therefore I actually don't even know if Fiverr do it like that. But certainly all the others do. I know that. Okay, and yeah. Upwork just seems to be nice and clean and honest and upfront there. And they also police it. I mean, there was last week somebody sent me a message, and which I never got to read because Upwork said not appropriate. Not appropriate. No, we've taken the message down. Okay, you won't find it again. Okay, I don't know what it was. Okay. So they do a lot of that, but I have never had that happen on Fiverr.
No.
Anyway. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
So the ideal would be to do what you said is to actually start working on getting a following.
Well, yeah, build your own community. Yeah.
And build your own community, and in the light of the alternative life.
And rule that community like you'd rule your garden, ruthlessly.
Flower or go. Oh, my garden is looking good. You can't believe it. Really nice.
I watched on an unrelated topic, I watched a video there. I think it came up through a Facebook feed or something. Guy by the name of Van Jones. I don't know whether you've heard of him or not. He's an African-American guy. I don't know. I think he might be a lawyer, actually. I'm not 100% sure. He was running this scenario about what's going to happen with Trump.
Yeah.
And there's a growing body of opinion there that that the odds are sort of swinging back that Trump may in fact continue on as president. Because what he was sort of talking about, and it was very much a legal sort of type argument, he said in the American Constitution, there's a whole lot of processes there about what actually has to happen for someone to be declared, the president of the country. But there's also things which have happened by tradition which aren't in the Constitution. And one of the things which has always been there by tradition but is not part of the Constitution is conceding defeat. Because what's actually happened over time, over hundreds of years, is that the loser concedes defeat, and that's the trigger for all of these processes under the Constitution to occur. So, like, there's college votes and all of those sorts of things, and that gets triggered where ultimately the new president gets sworn in. So it was sort of ironic because you look at what Trump's doing, he just refuses to concede. So I don't care what the vote was, I'm not conceding. So, and he sort of said, so if he continues down that path, then these processes which are under the Constitution don't actually have to pay any attention to the popular vote. So he said all of these, the Electoral College comes together and they actually determine what the votes are going to be. And it's only when you've got the prerequisite of one concedes, say, yes, okay, I lost the election, that's just a rubber stamping process. But now, because Trump is sort of saying, I refuse to concede, and his language to date has been, and I will never concede, well, then there's going to have to be some processes put in place, the Constitution, about how the president is confirmed. And it has no regard to what the popular vote is.
I still think, because you asked me last week as well, I still think that the recount, the hand recount, is going to show him with his 720 votes, and he will then be elected the winner. Already he's won one state that he had lost with the recount. And the five main, the really big states now are all recounting, okay? And they've now found the algorithm that was used in the software for counting that took Trump votes and allocated them to Biden. They've now got the actual algorithm, okay? And so proof that it was done. There it is in the software, okay? And that's it. So somebody's got to hang for the dishonesty, okay?
Well, that's right. But the interesting thing is that, you know, like from a country which holds itself out to be, you know, the land of the free and, you know, the home of democracy and all that sort of stuff, the democratic processes aren't really about what the popular vote is, whether it's real or fraud or whatever. The true election of the president is done by a separate and distinct process. The fact that it's historically just been a rubber stamping process versus what may well unfold now,
right,
is that, you know, the determinants of who becomes president will be determined by a group of people, typically within these large, high population states, you know, half a dozen of them or so, which sort of say, well, you know, there's 6 states here and we represent, you know, theoretically represent X number of the population, and our view is that he should be it. So there it is.
Yeah. Interesting.
So it is going to be interesting. And I think the other observation he made too is he said, you know, like if he lost, you know, theoretically by a landslide, then it would be a very difficult process to continue. But the fact is it was quite a close vote. So, you know, people can't just assume it's not going to happen. So, so it's going to be an interesting time to see what happens over there.
Yes, I've been watching it carefully on a daily basis. It's been very interesting.
And it's also been interesting, I think, too, that, you know, like Russia and China and that have basically said nothing.
You know, but France and Britain have already congratulated Biden. Okay, so it is interesting.
So it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. But,
yeah, and regardless of which way it unfolds, there's going to be hectic changes in the future. Definitely, if Biden does take over with his cronies, then you know, China's going to rule. Okay, big time. If Trump stays in there, there could be a war.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like China's preparing for that possibility already, aren't they? You know, so.
Yes, they are, and I think the war will probably take place more in outer space than necessarily, possibly physically as well down here. But I think not.
Well, I guess that sort of makes sense, doesn't it? Because the controller of the internet is the winner of the war, isn't it? You know.
Absolutely, that's control of the data. Okay, and control of you know. You can wipe people out just like that from there, you know, not only with communication. Yeah.
The other interesting announcement I saw there through the week too is from the Australian government about the vaccine.
Yes.
You know, I don't know whether you saw, there's already these sort of plans and veiled threats about if you don't have the vaccine, then, you know,
You
if you're on
can't
social
fly.
security, you won't get paid. And if you don't have the vaccine, you won't be able to travel into the state. And if you don't have, like, there's going to be all these,
Yeah.
it's like have the vaccine or else.
Yeah. And one of the main players, they're not the only one in Australia, is of course the international Pfizer. You know, one of the biggest shocks on the pharmaceutical world. Yeah.
Yeah, so I wonder what the implications of that is as well. But anyway,
Yep.
on that cheery note.
Okay. I get you to go and restore your captain's chair.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Send me a picture of it, man. Hey.
Okay, yeah, I will.
Before and after, or before, during, and after.
Okay, I'll do that. Yeah, because I've been documenting it in the ebook. So I'll send you the ebook. Actually, that might be the easiest thing to do when I finished it.
Right.
When I
Yeah.
finished it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good. Okay then. Will you take care?
I will. You too, man.